Welcome to the Life Coach Lounge. I'm Angela.
I'm Lisa.
And I'm Emily.
This isn't a podcast for coaches. It's for you, for real people navigating real life. It's lighthearted, it's deep, and it's grounded in faith, friendship, and purpose.
And once a month, you can join us in our virtual Life Coach Lounge on Zoom.
So pull up a seat. The Life Coach Lounge is open. Welcome back, friends, to the lounge. I'm here again with my friends Angela and Emily. And today we're going to talk about a topic that has been kind of popping up. Do you ever have kind of things that just kind of, no matter where you look, you're like, there it is again. There it is again. So today I'm going to start you guys off in the lounge with just a little story time from Lisa. So back in 2020, I think I talked a little bit about this before on other podcasts, but I lost a job that I had had for 3 decades. And not because I quit and not because I was ready. I was wrongfully terminated. And while I was also navigating that, I had a rare health diagnosis that I was also trying to wrap my brain around. And the whole situation was complicated in ways I couldn't even fully talk about then. But here we are years later. And I feel like I can share it because I think some of this will resonate with some of our listeners and maybe even the two of you, because this is going to be a very interesting conversation for us today because we haven't talked about this one in the Marcos. So I felt physically broken. I felt professionally blindsided. And the people who showed up and loved me the most did their absolute best to comfort me. And I heard things like, their loss, not yours. Honestly, you should have left that job a long time ago. At least you had a job for that long. And then the stories, oh my gosh, the stories. Well, this happened to my cousin. Oh my gosh, let me tell you about my neighbor down the street. They all meant well, every single one of them. And I want to be really clear about that. It came with the best of intentions, but I walked away from every one of those conversations feeling more alone than when I started. And because what I needed was an advice for someone to reframe my pain or hand me a silver lining, I was not ready to hold those yet. What I needed was someone to just be with me. So empathy is going to be our topic of conversation today. And we're going to talk about what empathy is and what it isn't, because it's not what most of us think. And we're going to be linking to this podcast a great little short video by Brené Brown. Love Brené Brown. And she has a great little skit. It's a little cartoon skit on empathy versus sympathy. It's 3 minutes long, and I highly recommend every one of our listeners listen to it or go watch it on YouTube. So let's start with what it isn't, because honestly, this is where most of us live without really even realizing we're hanging out there. And I want to say up front, none of this comes from bad people. Just like those people I talked about, my friends, my family members, they were trying to be there for me in the best ways. But here's the thing. Because you're sitting with someone who's hurting and genuinely feeling uncomfortable, this is what typically shows up. We have the minimizer. Okay, ladies, let me see your head start bobbing. The minimizer, the one who says, at least you still have fill in the blank, your health, your family, your job. Those 2 words, at least, have ended more meaningful conversations than almost anything else. Because what it communicates, even when it's not intended to, is that your pain has a limit. and I'm not here to sit with it. Okay, the next one is the advice giver. So you're mid-sentence and then someone says to you, they've already mentally solving your problem and they're like right there. And they're like, hey, have you thought about fill in the blank? Or you have this story hijacker. I happen to be very close with a story hijacker. Love you, honey, but he's a story hijacker. Oh, I know someone who went through the same thing just like this. And suddenly it's their story or someone else's story, and you're no longer in the room. And then you have the one-upper. Enter the pain Olympics. Nobody wins, and yet we're going to just keep going back and forth. So, my friends, where do these kind of characteristic land for you? I saw you both kind of nodding your head. Have you been on the receiving end of these empathizers who are not really empathizing with you? Emily, have you been on the receiving end of one of these? Or maybe you've caught yourself even doing one of these?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think we could all honestly say, I could honestly say I have been guilty of every one of these to some extent. I believe that I have experienced that from another person at different points. And the thing that was coming up for me as you were going through this list was it's human nature, I think, to feel uncomfortable with somebody else's pain. Like you said, the people that take on these different well-meaning ways of trying to empathize with somebody, minimizing, giving advice you're wanting to fix, hijacking the story, one-upping them with a more painful story. It comes from a place of, this is uncomfortable. This person is really in a bad spot. I don't know what to say, so I'm just going to say something, just so that we don't have to be like here awkward together. That is a learned skill, to just let the silence be there, to let the other person be in their pain, and to not walk away from it and to not just throw something at it. We all mean well, and we've all been guilty of this, and it takes practice.
I totally agree. It is really hard when someone is hurting and you, especially if you have any, like, I want to fix it tendencies, like that people pleaser tendency or that mama bear feeling, you just want to I just want to make them feel better. You're absolutely right. It by nature comes out, which is why I think it's so important to talk about the difference between empathy and sympathy. Angela, how about you? Do you have a experience in being on the receiving end or a story to share or maybe even witness to, oops,
Absolutely.
didn't handle that well?
Oh, for sure. And just to piggyback on what Emily said, I think that we are uncomfortable being with someone else's discomfort because we cannot handle our own emotions. So I think the key to giving empathy is to increase your own emotional capacity. I want to fix what you're going through, the painful thing you're going through, because it makes me feel pain and I don't want to feel pain. And so if you can just be okay being in pain, being with someone, or being in discomfort with someone, or even, like you said, feeling awkward with someone sharing, if you can just hold space for your own emotion, it will just open up to hold space for someone else's emotion. And you talked about the advice giver. Okay, so two things came to my mind with the advice giver. Let's just call that the husband. because because I remember we were married probably like 3 or 4 years, and I finally had to look at Jim and be like, okay, I am not asking you to fix this. Can you just listen? And so we had to have like this language shift where when I would kind of like, dump my thoughts, he would be like, okay, do you just want me to listen or do you want advice? And I told him like that I want you to ask me that. And so we do that now. But people giving advice when you're going through infertility, holy buckets. Like, does your husband wear boxer shorts? Right? Are you taking your temperature every day? Oh, just stop thinking about it and then you'll get pregnant. Okay, I'll try that. You know, like, no, don't do that. I'm hurting, you know? So, lots of advice during that season of life. But yeah, I have done it wrong many times. I can relate to all of this on the giving and receiving end for sure.
And I can too. I have learned again, like just like Emily said, like this is not something that's just innate, I don't think. I think it does take a little bit of effort. And also what Angela said, like building your emotional resilience and your own capacity to feel emotions, and also being okay to say, I don't know what to say, and I'm willing to sit here with you. It's okay if that person's crying and you suddenly start to well up too, because you're you are like matching their energy, and like, but it's okay to not know what to say. So I think that's important. It took me a long time to realize that, and for years, yes, I got it wrong. I got it wrong. Let me give you all the advice in the world, let me just try to fix it. So if we talk about empathy versus sympathy, because like I said, they are not the same. Angela, if I asked you to describe sympathy, how would you describe sympathy? What would be your definition of sympathy?
The first thing that comes to my mind is like a sympathy card, right? Like a Hallmark sympathy card. Like, I'm so sorry you're going through this. I'm, with sympathies, kind of a thing. So, that's what comes to my mind first. I'm sorry you're going through this. Yeah, I mean, the sympathy is always kind to give. I don't think it's wrong at all, but I don't think it's the same level as empathy.
How about you, Emily? When you think of sympathy, how does that come up for you?
In addition to what Angela was saying, I think it feels more like an arm's length distance,
Mm-hmm.
like attending a funeral or memorial service for somebody that you didn't know personally, but you knew people who were related to them or close to them. It's appropriate, I think, to offer sympathy at that point. I don't know maybe the person that lost the loved one personally, and so to empathize with them might feel awkward because it's a stranger basically coming alongside them and saying, "Here, let me sit with you." Like, who are you? Like, so I think sympathy feels like that arm's length distance. It's just a
Mm-hmm.
little bit more space between the person and you relationally. Offering condolences, I agree, is totally appropriate. But yeah, from a distance, I think that's
Yeah,
kind of what I
I
think.
agree. It has its place. Like sympathy definitely has its place. And not to ruin the whole 3-minute Brené Brown video, but the line in that video that always makes me laugh is when she's talking about the difference between empathy and sympathy. And the character is like, "Oh, yeah, that's bad. Oh, you want a sandwich?" Like Emily just said, like from a distance, like, I'm not going to go in there with you. Can I get you something from on the other side? All right. So, empathy, which is completely different, how I see it is it's observing your pain also from a distance, because you can be empathetic with someone in the Marcos or on a phone call, absolutely in person, but saying, I see you and I'm here, and what you're going through is hard, and I'm not going anywhere. If you don't want me to be here, I shall move on, but I'm going to check back in. To me, that's empathy. How do you see empathy, Emily? Do you see it similar?
Very much the same. Just coming alongside the person and saying things like, that must be really painful. I am so sorry that you're going through that. That sounds really hard. Do you want to keep talking about it?
Mm-hmm.
Like, not offering suggestions, not offering advice, not even inviting them to come out of their experience. Just setting up camp right next to them and
Yeah,
saying, I hear what you're saying. And that sounds really hard. And it connects. It's a connection. It's a intimate, I think, sort of connection, taking a step towards somebody in whatever it is that they are dealing with. Not saying, I understand, I know how you feel, even. I think that is even not super helpful when it comes to empathy, because when you're in the depths of something, to have somebody else say, oh, I understand, I know how you feel,
mm-hmm.
you kind of want to push back and be like, do you? Because I don't really think you do. So that even is just like, but observing what they're saying, acknowledging their pain and their words and their experience, and offering support just by being there.
Yeah, you talk about connection, and I think empathy, if someone is sharing something painful, the opposite of rushing to fix it or giving advice is just, I think about touch. How powerful touch is when someone is sharing pain, just reaching out and taking their hand and squeezing their hand or putting your arm around them. Like that to me is so connecting, even more than words, even more than saying, I'm here for you, or I understand, or I get it, even. Just that touch is so powerful. And being with clients on Zoom, obviously we can't do that, but we can even just, as a coach, just putting your hand, it just shows like, oh, I'm feeling this right now with you, and I think touch is a big part of showing empathy.
I agree. I think that leads into what it feels like to be heard. Like if you are in person and you can touch the other person and put your hand on their shoulder or their hand or something. I'm a huge hugger. I'm a hugging person. If I don't know the person as well, or even if I do, honestly, if they're in a lot of discomfort and pain, emotionally or physically, but definitely emotionally, I'll ask, can I give you a hug? There is some science behind that. And that might be a whole podcast episode in and of itself. But hugging someone for, I forget what the magic number is, but for a certain duration of time you can actually feel the other person kind of release a little bit while you're holding them. So I think you're right, Angela. It's just an expression of saying, I hear you. How about for you, Emily? How do you think you could let the other person know I'm listening to you? Like Angela mentioned, we do this a lot in coaching, and a lot of times our clients are virtual, they're not in person. So, what are some other ways for you to just listen?
Well, that undivided attention, whether you're in person or on the screen, not looking at your phone. If eye contact is appropriate and they're making eye contact with you, like holding that and having an expression on your face that truly shows them that you are present, that you are attentive, that you care. If you're with somebody in person, even just shifting your body angled towards them, allowing the silence, admitting, I don't know what to say right now, but I'm not going anywhere. I attend an in person Bible study at our local church, and there have been times where we have shared vulnerable prayer requests with each other, or somebody's crying just in a one on one, and you just offer to pray for them right then and there. Just lift up the whole situation to the Lord and ask Him to comfort us in a way that only He can. So, praying with them if that's something that they are open to.
So I'm curious, would you handle a situation differently with empathy if the emotion was more explosive, like anger or rage. I don't know why that just came to me. Like I'm visualizing being empathetic in someone's grief or loss or sorrow. But it just came to me like, what if someone was literally enraged? I mean, how would I feel? How would I hold space for myself to keep myself maybe even feeling safe? Right? I'm wondering if the empathetic response would be different.
Well, that is a great question. And my response to it would be off the top of my head. I think I would respond to that the same way I respond to people who are having a panic attack. Anyone I've ever been with who's having one doesn't act out in a rage way, but similar to rage, there's no reasoning happening. There's zero reasoning happening. So allowing still to allow that person to know I'm here and maybe keeping a safe distance while you have your moment. But I will, I don't know. I'll be over on this side. I'm going to get out of the car right now. If it's in a car situation, like still letting them know that they can have their moment and they're safe. Because I think that is also what people really need to be reminded of when they're walking through any kind of physical or emotional pain, a panic attack, a rage attack, something, is that you're safe. Like
Yeah.
I'm here for you.
Yeah. Even just acknowledging it, I
Mm-hmm.
can see you're really angry. I mean,
What?
just even saying that is
Yeah.
it's being with them.
What also came to mind is like, did your kids have like full on temper tantrums? I worked with kids of like infants right up through school age. So I have seen my fair share of temper tantrums, as well as one of my children was definitely a temper tantrum child. It's so like as soon as you said that, I'd be like, okay, I'm just going to quietly close the door right now and I'll be on the other side of the door while you are leveling your room that you're going to have to clean up. But you're having your moment. Or the kid freaks out in the middle of the grocery store and you're like, okay, all eyes on me now. Great. And you just like, okay. Just what you said earlier, Angela, the more regulated you are with your emotions, then that other person can match that. So whether it's a 3-year-old, a 2-year-old, or a 56-year-old, we're be able to match that energy a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. I think with something like anger, what we want to do is say, calm down. Stop being angry. It's not okay. I can't talk to you when you're like this. Instead of saying, I can see you're really angry right now.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. It takes practice, I think.
1000%. Do you have anything to add in there, Emily? Did anything else come up for you while she was talking about that scenario?
No, you both covered it really well. I think that there is an element of safety there when someone is having a very strong emotion, whether it be rage or anger or a panic attack. And in that situation, I think that it would be appropriate, not that you're trying to get them out of the experience or the emotion that they're having, but if it's safer to lead them outside where they can get fresh air or move them to a different environment, or the safety component is definitely part of that. So these are skills that we are not taught. We learn all of these along the way. We learn them with practice. And I think that we all, correct me if I'm wrong, but we've all believed sort of this fairy tale lie that life is supposed to just be happy and rainbows and unicorns all the time. And if it's not, there's something wrong. But the older I get, the more I realize, no, actually, the life experience is full of mountaintop experiences and valley experiences and the whole range of emotions. And just because you're going through an experience that is really taking a toll doesn't mean something has necessarily gone wrong. It's just a human experience. So, how do we navigate it? Life is full of all of the emotions and all of the experiences. So, this work is really important to talk about and to practice.
Agreed. Empathy is a practice, and it's something you choose to do. And oftentimes we'll get wrong, as all of us admitted today. It takes practice, and sometimes we get it wrong, and we just show up again, and we keep doing it over and over again. And for those of us doing the work of coaching, it really matters. Like, our clients come to us almost starving to be heard. So it is our job, first and foremost, to listen attentively without judgment. But even then, it still takes a lot of practice. I would say empathy without trust isn't really empathy, it's just agreement. If today's episode landed for you, please, as we always remind you, please share it with someone. Definitely go listen and watch that little Brené Brown 3-minute video. It's entertaining. At the very least, it's entertaining and will give you just one more insight into the difference between the two words. We would also love it if you left us a rating. That keeps us in everybody's line of sight so that they know, oh, I want to go hang out in the Life Coach Lounge as well. So until next time, everyone, thanks for joining us today. And ladies, as always, I will see you in the Marcos.